clear and easy to follow instructions so you can make your very own beaded crystal bracelet. I'm Sherry here at the Little Beading Closet, and join me as I show you the supplies you need to follow along with this beading tutorial. The beads that you need for this bracelet are 4mm Bicone crystals. You can use all one color or choose one color family and pick a light, medium, and dark shade from within. You'll also need size 11 seed beads and size 8 seed beads to complete the bracelet. I like using a clasp with 2 points of connection for this project, although if you prefer, you could always use a toggle clasp for whatever you'd like. I cut 7 feet of thread, and I'm going to start that on my needle. But that's quite a bit, so instead of just leaving a little bit and folding it over like I normally would, I'm going to pull my needle down quite a ways on my thread so I don't have to pull so much on my project as I'm working. In the beginning of the bracelet, we don't need the darker bicones, so I'm going to go ahead and move those out of my way and focus on this lighter and medium shade. I'll still need my size 11 and size 8 seed beads. I'll begin by picking up one of the size 4mm Bicone crystals in the lighter shade, and in this medium shade, back to the lighter shade, and then again the medium shade. So you'll have these 4 on your needle, and all we're going to do is bring them down near the end of the thread. I'm just going to leave a little bit of tail for now. Here in a minute, I'll show you where we're going to add some knots, and then it will give you something to hold on to while you start your piece. But after that, you can trim it off. Let's needle back through all 4 of the bicones. And pull the thread through. And then come into the very first one. And you have your right angle weave. Working with the size 11 seed beads, pick one up, come into your next bicone, repeat that all the way around. So just putting one size 11 between each bicone, one more coming through here, and where I have my tail and working thread together, and this is the very first unit, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 knots right here just to secure it. I need to do this here in the very beginning, picking up the very last size 11 for the moment, and come into the next bicone, and then step into the size 11, on here we're going to add a Pondo stitch. Begin by picking up 4 of the size 8 seed beads and needling back through your size 11 seed bead. Might be easier to turn it in your hand. With no beads on your needle, come into the very first size 8 seed bead. And pull your thread tight. You're going to need 3 size 11s to complete this round, picking one up, coming into the next 8, pulling it tight into place. One more into the next 8. Again, pulling it tight into place, picking up the last size 11 and coming into the 8, pulling it into place, and then needle through the size 11 here at the base between the two bicones. I'm going to needle through my next bicone. Turn it in your hand if you'd like. Step into the next 11. And we're going to repeat that process of adding one Pondo stitch on each size 11. Picking up 4 more size 8 seed beads and coming back through the size 11 that your thread is exiting. I like to turn it in my hand as I'm working on it, and then needling into the first size 8. Picking up 1 more size 11, coming into the next 8. 1 more 11 into the next 8. So 1 more 11 and come into the next 8. And then back through the 11 here at the base between the two bicones. And when you pull it all tight at this point, Pondo stitch is sort of self-tightening. So needle through your next bicone. And step into the next 11. So we'll just repeat that by adding a Pondo stitch right here. So if you know Pondo stitch, you'll find this super easy pattern. Picking up 4 of the size 8 seed beads, needling back through the size 11. And then with no beads on my needle, coming straight into the first size 8, pulling it tight, adding 1 11 into the next 8, pulling it tight, 1 more 11 into the next 8, and 1 more 11 into the next 8, and giving that a firm pull. Coming through the next bicone, stepping into our size 11, and again putting 1 Pondo stitch right here, moving the tail out of the way, adding 4 of the size 8 seed beads and coming through the 11. Stepping into the first 8, pulling it tight, 1 11 into the next 8, continue that all the way around, 1 11 into the next 8, 1 more 11 into the next 8, and then needle through the size 11 here at the base where your bicones are. Next, we're going to needle over here to the size 11, coming through 1 8 and into the 11. This first section is completed and it goes a lot quicker now that we've done this. We're going to start with another right angle weave unit of bicones. And if you're working with the 3 different shades, we're starting with the middle tone first. So pick up one of the middle tones, and then a light one, and then another middle tone, and another light one. And come back through the size 11 that your thread is exiting. Pull those into a right angle weave. Retracing the crystals here in this right angle weave unit just gives them a little bit more strength to keep that shape. So So I'm just going to come through all 4 of them one more time. And one more, coming back through this one. I'll come back through my size 11. And now step into the first bicone. Pick up one size 11 and come into the next bicone. One more 11 into the next bicone. This time we're not picking up an 11, we're using the 11 from this Pondo unit. So just go ahead and needle through there. And pull that into place. And come through your next bicone. I'm just going to needle over here to add a Pondo stitch. So I'll come through the 11 again. Through the bicone. Step into this 11 here. And add a Pondo stitch. So picking up 4 of my size 8 seed beads, come back through the size 11. When I work Pondo stitch, I usually turn it in my hand quite a few times, pulling that tight by needling through the first 8, picking up one 11, coming through the next 8, picking up one more 11 through the next 8, and one more 11 through the next 8. And then you needle through the 11 at the base between the bicones, through your next bicone, and then step up into the 11. And add one more Pondo stitch. So adding the 4/8, turning it in my hand, coming through the very first one, adding one 11, one more 11, and one more 11. And then needling through the size 11 at the base between the bicones. And to add the next right angle weave unit of crystals, I need to come over here to this size 11. So let's needle around through my 8 and 11. Coming back down through some 8s and 11s. Coming down here to this one, through, and then coming out right here. We're ready to pick up our crystals. Again, the lighter, starting with the lighter one. Here in the middle, that'll be the first one. So one light crystal. And then your middle tone. The light one. And your middle tone. and needle back through the size 11 that your thread is coming out of. I'm going to go ahead and retrace this right angle weave of crystals to give it extra strength and structure. So come back through all the crystals one more time. And back through the 11 that they're attached to at the moment. Needle through the bicone. And as you guessed, we're going to be attaching it to the size 11 of the existing Pondo stitch right here. And coming through the next bicone. Picking up 111, coming into the next bicone. And one more 11 through the next bicone. I'm going to go ahead and needle around to this one. Coming through here. Now that you're over here, go ahead and make another Pondo stitch here. Come up and attach one here. So continue the pattern and work on the bracelet until you get a length that you need for the entire piece. Before we do any more work with the crystals, we're going to be attaching the clasp next. Now we're just going to needle over here to this size 8 so we can begin attaching our clasp. Whether you're using something with 2 points of connection or a toggle clasp here, I'm just going to pick up 2 of my size 11 seed beads and come through with the clasp, and then needle through the size 11 here and the 8. And then needling down through the bicone. And then I'll come up through the 8 and the first 11. Picking up 2 more size 11 seed beads. Coming through my clasp. And if you had wire guard, you could put that right there. And then I'm going to come back over here through my 8 and 11. I just want to needle right here to this size 11. So I'm going to come through 1 8 and 1 more 11. And now it's finally time for me to get out my darkest color of 4mm Bicone crystals. Picking one up, I'm going to needle into this 11, 8, and 11 next along the edge. And just continue repeating that all the way down my edge with 1 4mm Bicone and through the 11, 8, and 11. After adding the darker bicones down here along the edge, I'll be attaching the other end of the clasp down here the same way. And then over here to the size 11 to get in position to add the dark crystals along the edge. Just repeating the steps that we did on the other side, we'll pick up one of the darker bicones and come through the next 11 and 8. I can't get through the 11 though at the moment, so I'll just come through those two and then step into the 11. So I'll be in position to add my next bicone. And as you work on it, just try to keep the tension on both sides the same. I just finished adding the last of my crystals along the edge. I'll work with the rest of my thread, retracing my thread path until I'm almost out of thread, and then I'll show you how to knot it off. I just happened to end up here at the very end. You could be anywhere here along the edge, it doesn't matter. So I'll retrace this Pondo stitch. That way the thread will have a nice secure ending. If you want to add some half hitch knots along the way as you go, you can. And then I'll completely trim off my thread. As always, I hope you have a beautiful day and enjoy your new bracelet.